Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, and welcome into episode number 71 of Clark After Dark, right here live and direct on RaceON.com. Folks, as we're inching in just a little bit closer every single minute of every single day, racing right here in the Arklatex region, as Volusia Speedway Park down in Barberville, Florida, been taking place over the last couple of weeks, of course, of Volusia 1.0. Now we're in Volusia 2.0 with the Dirt Car Nationals, and also with the USAC Sprint Cars over there. And been some great racing to watch all weekend long at Volusia, live on Dirt Vision or on Flow Racing. Like we said, Arklatex area racing getting really close. We had a practice night last night, a Monday night street night. What did I say, Monday night? Yeah, Monday night, almost said Monday night street fights. But yeah, Monday night practice session to the Boot Hill Speedway in Greenwood, Louisiana last night. Had around 60 or so cars over there for a test and tune. The racetrack was prepped very well. And Rollo and Bubba had the track on point. And guys were getting the feel for the race cars as we get closer and closer to race time. Coming up just next week is Hunt County. Actually, unfortunately, the race that we had talked about and pumped up, the $10,000, $1,000 to start Longhorn Roundup that they were really anticipating on bringing back. Unfortunately, that race is not going to take place in 2026. Perhaps in the future, but it will not take place. Unfortunately, they just didn't have enough entries, and that's another conversation for another day, but quite disappointing to say the least. Like we said, the Dirt Car Nationals at Volusia, night number 2 for the super late models just concluded. And hey, now would be the great time to bring on my co-host of this podcast, Cortland Smith, out of Alexandria, Louisiana. Cortland, we just wrapped up, watched Volusia, and like I said, man, we had practice last night at Boot Hill. There's a lot going on in racing. We're just kind of chomping at the bit and ready to get after it around here, right? But man, good race at Volusia tonight. Looks like the track kind of took a little bit of rubber there late. Before we get off, I guess, deep into that, episode 71 this week, I got a couple good 71s for you. How about our man Alan Tippin, right? Still tipping on Fofos, the number 71, longtime SUPR late model guy. Last week on the pod, we spent a good bit of time talking about the SUPR, the Southern United Professional Racing Series. Well, Alan Tippin, he was a 9-time winner on that tour. Sorry, either 7 or 9. It's one of the two. May even be 8. I know it's either 7, 8, or 9, but I know he won a few of those over the years. Last couple of years, he's been racing the factory stock class and also competed in the limited and the B mod last year. Also, Dave Marcus drove number 71 to the NASCAR series. I think one of the oldest racers in NASCAR history by age anyway. And then, of course, the real deal, Don O'Neill and Hudson O'Neill. Those are the 71s I got. What say you?
Well, like I said last week, you're not going to steal Chris Wall from me this week, so I'll go ahead and take him. But I got some that come off the top of the dome when we sit down, and started making my notes for episode 71. Considering you got Rocket Raceway Park hoodie on, it would be a great time to mention Kevin Sestair in the 71. Oh, my man Kevin there. Another 71, it's Breezy, baby, Chase Breezy, one of the long stalwarts of racing down there in the South Texas area. And then you got to give yourself I pulled one up. I know he wasn't in the 71 all the time, but Joey Saldana in the motor equipment 71 yellow. When you talk about Don O'Neill in the 71, it's a classic yellow with red lettering. And Joey Saldana raced, I believe it was a 71 there for a little while. It was a motor equipment entry. And then I got one for you. Shout out to a dude that started racing back when I did at Thunder Valley, and we raced at Leesville. Matt Burney in the 71. Doesn't race a whole lot no more, but I want to give a shout out to one of the dudes around here that 71 come off the top of my mind here when I was making my notes. And my man Matt Burney, gonna give a shout out to him. He don't race as much. I hope to see him around. I got tongue tied there. There's a good chance that you'll see him in the pit area around Adam and Talon Willis down there. He still shows up to the race every once in a while and hangs out with them. He'll make a few show ups here every once in a while, but I hope to see him racing some more here. I know he's got his kids. I think they're doing some drag racing stuff now, but that's my 71s for you, man. Chris Wall, Kevin Sestair, Chase Breezy, baby, Joey Saldana raced the 71 there for a little while, and my man Matt Burney.
Matt Burney was just like, it hadn't been long. Like he just had a CDR B mod, right? The last couple of years that he had like that teal and white car, really, really sharp looking race car.
It was clean.
Like you said, the Willis family. I know that they all kind of run around, you could typically find them around the same neck of the woods in the pit area anyway. So yeah, man, hey, 71's a pretty prominent number in racing, I feel like, right? Like there's a lot of really good 71 dirt racers, but 71's just kind of a popular number, I feel like, right? Like it's just a good number. It's just a good number. One more too, the Indy Race Parts number 71 sprint car. We saw Ricky Thornton Jr. Drive that machine last year. It's been Parker Price Miller's driven that car over the last couple of years. Been quite a few that have driven the Indy Race Parts number 71. Upcoming events live on RaceON, man. So this weekend, I don't know if you saw any of these videos, like Big O. Okay, so Big O Speedway, formerly known as 85 Speedway in Ennis, Texas, right?
Yep.
I haven't been there. I announced a race there in 2017. It was the SmackDown. It was a phenomenal race, by the way. Like, I really enjoyed the racetrack. But I was on social media yesterday and I see people sharing around this bull ring. And like, I heard our producer, Cody Wooten, telling us about, RaceOn's going to be live at Big O. Well, I see people talking about this Big O bull ring, but I had no idea that they literally built a new racetrack on the property. And dude, like, it looks pretty damn racy. Like, the
Yeah.
surface looked really good, like the videos I saw. But anyway, they're looking to get a good car count. I think they're racing karts. I don't know exactly all the cars they're racing, but it will be live on RaceOn. It's called the No Way Out 40 this weekend at the new Big O Bull Ring. But dude, I'm gonna tell you, Cortland, the little video I saw, like, that thing is way smaller than Highway 19. Like, for all intents and purposes, it looks like a go-kart track, but it's a bigger go-kart track. But I tell you what, man, like, you could probably get it on and have some really good races on that thing in big cars too. Did you check that thing out or what?
Yeah, I seen that video and it reminded me of Macon, really, because
Yeah.
Macon is absolutely tiny and it just it made me think of Macon. But yeah, it's one of those deals. I think, like you said, they're racing karts there, but obviously they race cars around there, and nothing about a little fifth mile smile. It may even be smaller than a fifth mile, but you can get it on with the best of them, man. Sometimes we talk about some people are big fans of the big tracks, and they love to stretch their legs out and let the motors eat. But then sometimes you get on them bull rings and it's just elbows up, and not that you want to go in there and tear stuff up, but when you hit on a track that small, you don't tear up near as much as if you did when you hit each other around the half mile speedway. So yeah, really cool that they put that deal together. It's something maybe we hope to see some more racing there around the bull ring, and if not, if it's just a one-off deal that they get to happen, I hope everybody goes support it. Get your fifth mile smile on. There's nothing better than sometimes just going out there and just getting her completely bent sideways, about killing the car, kill the car next to you. Just overall, it could be wonderful, and it could also be a catastrophe. But most of the time, you're at a racetrack and you're having a good time. So really cool that they're putting that deal on there.
Yeah, looking forward to see how that thing. I'd like to even get out there and wheel a car around it. I was trying to find me a race car last night to drive at Boot Hill. And by the way, Big John Beckett told me I could drive that unit. And look at me trying to get into that thing. The old love handles wouldn't fit. I tried my damnedest, Cortland. I was going to wheel that unit. And see, I was over there. I was specking it out and everything. Good looking race car. But man, I like to drive a car every few years to kind of renew my perspective. Like, I'm not, trying to go out there and twist anybody's arm. Hey, man, let me drive your race car. I did do that to a few people. Boone Evans told me I could drive the old number 4 factory stock last night, but by the time I could get back over there, they was loaded up and headed out at Bullard. So maybe for a different time and a different day. But I do want to drive a car again sometime soon. So I don't know. We'll see how that all works out. February 21st, man, Hunt County. Of course, we just talked about the unfortunate cancellation of the Longhorn Roundup. Hunt County is going to have 1,000 to win modifieds, outlaw modifieds next weekend, or February the 21st. It'll be actually the weekend. Yeah, next weekend, February the 21st. And then also outlaw modifieds, February the 28th, the shakedown at Rocket Raceway Park. They'll be running all their classes along with outlaw modifieds. So modified drivers that are disappointed that the deal at Hunt County canceled, or maybe you were scared and you weren't entered anyway. I don't know. Maybe you were saving your stuff for these 2 back-to-back races at Hunt County and Rocket. But all I'm saying is you got 2 races back-to-back. I'm not sure the purse for Rocket, but 1,000 to win outlaw modifieds at Hunt County. And again, back-to-back weekends for all you modified guys that want places to race around the DFW area. Those are two good races to shake your cars down and get ready. And also back-to-back nights is $100 to start, 1,000 win Kennedale Speedway Park if you're an IMCA modified guy. Complete shows both nights at KSP. Their spring kickoff event, February the 27th and the 28th. And also Arclatech Speedway kicks off their season. They are not running modifieds, but they are kicking off their season also on February the 28th. So I started this podcast off saying, yeah, national racing is off and going in a good groove right now. Like we said, Hudson O'Neal just won out down in Barberville, Florida at the Dirt Car Nationals at Volusia Speedway Park. So looking forward to the local racing getting kicked off. In the intro, man, I didn't really get off into it, but I'd put a little note in here about the Seattle Seahawks winning Super Bowl 50 had to be one of the most boring Super Bowls of all time. Like, and people are just going absolutely crazy about things that don't really matter, honestly, in the grand scheme of things. It seems like everybody just wants their opinion to align with their worldview on what you think about a halftime show. And honestly, like, I don't give a shit. You shouldn't give a shit. Like, just do whatever you enjoy. Like, it is a shame, Cortland, and I'm going to say this right here, and I don't really care what anybody says. It's a shame that, like, maybe I shouldn't do this because I don't like politics. I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to divert right now. All I'm saying is, or what I was trying to say is like, it's not fair Never mind. Never mind. I'm not going to do it, Cortland. I'm not going to do it. So we're going to keep moving on here. I'm not going to say it, Cody. See, my producer's in my ear. He's like, just say it. Just say it. It's really not even that big a deal. So now when I say it, you're going to be like, that's what you were trying to say. I just think it's unfortunate that just because if you disagreed or you didn't like the like a halftime show, that one side of or there's some people that are just willing real quick to call you a racist. I think that's wild. It's just wild to me. Like, it's just wild. I've seen a lot of crazy shit on social media. That's all I have to say. Like, we just settle down, people. Like, just enjoy your life. Like, and get off. Like, I'm not kidding you, dude. Like, I told you a couple weeks ago, and maybe I need to have self-control. Because I get on this podcast sometimes and I come on here and I start telling you about what I saw on social media, and it's like, well, maybe old ZC needs to spend less time on there because, like, dude, it is not good, dude. Like, there is nothing positive and happy about social media right now. And I'm going to tell you, the only reason why I have it to begin with is for racing purposes. Like last night, I went to Boot Hill, took some pictures of these race cars, put it on there to honestly break up some of this political bullshit that everybody is seeing constantly on their feeds. Maybe that's why that picture got over 100 likes on it, is because people are like, thank God there's something else other than politics. Thank you, ZC, for sharing race cars tonight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not here to save the world, ladies and gentlemen, but just find something that makes you happy. I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent here. Didn't know where I was headed. But man, like, I don't care what side of the aisle you lay on. I really don't care. I mean, but I do care, but I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, everybody just calm down and just breathe and love on people and have fun and enjoy your life and stop being so caught up about shit that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Because it doesn't. How many of you people that listen to this podcast ever been to the Super Bowl? Probably none. And so tell me why you care so much about the halftime show. Tell me why you care so much. I don't just Cortland, I don't get it. And I'm not trying to set you up for failure because I don't expect you to have an opinion on this. But all I'm saying is the Super Bowl was terrible this year. I love football, looked forward, and then the halftime show wasn't that great either. So it was just in my opinion, Super Bowl 60 was a dud. And I hope 61 is a lot better in SoFi. And hopefully either the Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints are playing in it and all is well in the world. But that's all I got on that. And I don't expect you to have anything to throw in. I just had to get that off my chest. So I got a couple stats here for you, though. All right. I'm going to change course here. I got a couple stats here for you. All right. Based off of what we've seen so far in 2026, and I'm going to give a shout out to my man, Paul Clayton. He's out of Florida. He put these stats, and I told him, I sent him, I said, hey, dude, I'm using your stats on the podcast. He said, please do it. And I said, I'll give you credit. We don't have ESPN, Cortland, to compile stats for us. Like, in order for us to get stats, we got to go and put them together for ourselves. Well, sometimes somebody else will put them together, and you message him and you say, hey, I'm going to take your stats. And he's like, oh, yeah, no problem, dude. We're on the dirt racing world here. So based off of 16 contested super late model races in 2026, RTJ is the first driver in 2026 to win a heat race starting outside of the top three when he won heat race 4 tonight at the Dirt Car National starting in 7th. Prior to tonight, there had been 57 heat races contested in 2026, and the winners had all come from the top 3 starting position 100% of the time. That means that drivers are starting from 4th on back have not won a heat race so far outside of Ricky Thornton Jr. tonight at Volusia Speedway Park, with an average starting spot of 1.39. 40 of those wins in heats have come from the pole, 12 have come from the front row, and 5 have come from third. And through 15 super late model features contested in 2026, 6 of those winners have come from the pole position, 4 have come from the outside front row, 3 winners have come from 4th, and 2 of those winners have come from outside of the top 4. The deepest winner was T-Mac, Tim McCready, when he won at Volusia when he came from 10th on the final night at Volusia 1.0. So that means nearly 87% of the winners have rolled off inside of the top 4, with 56 of them winning from the front row. Like, we talk about parity and stuff and racing and this and that all the time, but I think that these stats to me, Cortland, are like more of an indicator more now than ever that you have to be on your shit in qualifying. Like, I mean, honestly, like even in dirt draft hot laps, like I think guys are honestly going out to win hot laps now because when they go out for hot laps, they know that speed in hot laps is more than likely going to translate over in short order over into qualifying. But to me, these stats just put more of a big eye on, like, I need to qualify well. Honestly, like, if you qualify out of the top 15 now, granted, Thornton showed tonight he could get it done, and he rolled and had a good run in the feature until I'm not sure what happened to Thornton at the end of the feature, Cortland, but it just goes to show, man, more of an emphasis now than ever. Like, dude, heat races are great and all, but like if you're not up in them first 2 rows, the stats show it. then dude, you might be out to lunch for that night and you need to come back tomorrow night and try it all over again and try to get you a better qualifying run. It is very unorthodox for a guy to come outside of the top 10 and win one of these races anymore. Granted, it does
You
happen, but the stats prove that it is seldom.
you hear all the guys, they put such an emphasis on qualifying. Like you hear it every single time, and people probably get sick of hearing it, but that like these stats just back that up and reiterate everything you said. And just like you mentioned how important hot laps is when somebody's on a heater and their stuff just happens to be working good. Yeah, their hot laps, it is very important because if a guy goes out there and unloads, I think I've used this analogy before. When that guy goes out there and hot laps and he's 3/10 better, well, when he goes back to the trailer, he's probably going to find another tenth or two. Then you're just chasing that all night long. And I think also another deal with qualifying and so many people starting up front and finishing up front is now because track work. Like we rework the track so much nowadays. And it's not like every single feature that they did track prep by no means. But we reworked the track so much, and I think on that Saturday that McCready won, you saw a track actually go through the progression, and guys are able to movers and shakers. Whereas nowadays, like a Wild West Shootout, they did a full farm every single night right before the B mains or right before their feature, and so it is hard when the track's wide open and fast, and the fast dudes are already up front, and the track doesn't change a whole lot from what it was in qualifying and heat race. Well, then the guys know what to roll out with. I mean, it's really nice if you're Hudson O'Neal, Bobby Pierce, whoever it may be. Whenever you go out there and you hot lap, you're good. You qualify, you're fast. The track progresses a little bit. You win your heat race, and then hey, right before the feature, we're going to do a full reform, and this thing's going to be just like it was in qualifying when you were fast time. So it kind of lends to that self. Now, I'm not saying they did that at every single race, but you kind of see that more oftentimes than not. You hear a lot of the older heads, a lot of the older drivers in the late model world that have been around forever. They like McCready will be the first one to tell you he's not the biggest fan of reworks unless it absolutely needs it. Like he said at Boot
Right.
Hill when he won, he's like, I'm happy that we actually saw a track progress through the night and we didn't go out there and full reform. We just kind of worked on the areas we needed to. So I think that kind of lends his hand as well. But it's also one of those deals that the cream rises to the top. The best of the best, when they unload, when they're on a heater, look at Brandon Overton, look at Hudson O'Neal right now. Those dudes are on absolute heaters. They're unloading fast, they're qualifying good, and when you heat race good, eventually you're going to find something in the feature that just puts it all together. So it just all goes to, I mean, it all works hand in hand. The best dudes are always going to find their way up front, but it just, to me, it seems like nowadays we're reforming more than ever in the past, and it just kind of lends your hand to the guys that qualify good. You don't have to go get in the slick condition and make your car good for 25 laps in the slick because they reformed the whole track. I just used the Wild West Shootout as an example just because they did it almost every single night. They went out there and did a full reform. So I think that kind of lends its hand as well, but just also the best guys are going to go out there and do what they do, right? Like when the guys unload fast, they can just keep on building on that speed all night long. And until the track really progresses a whole lot, you're not going to get a lot of movers and shakers because guys just, their package and what they do doesn't necessarily always fit wide open on the gas, so that's when you really see your movers and shakers when it really starts slowing down.
All right, so my question now is Brandon Overton is officially on a roll. He did not win tonight. I think he finished 19th. He kind of got buried. He had a great heat race tonight with Nick Hoffman, and Hoffman got the better of him there late in heat race number, I think it was heat race 4 tonight. But Brandon's on a roll. Like he's won 4 in a row last night. Tonight he got beat. And you could tell, like Michael Rigsby and the guys talked about him on the drive home last night. They could just tell, like he's kind of breezy. You can tell he's a little lighter. He's just confident. And confidence is a lethal substance we talk about with racers all the time. And it's good to see Brandon has turned the corner. And last night, him and his brother finished 1 and 2. Cody had another good run tonight. Cody finished second once again. My question to you is, after what we've seen in Arizona with 16 total contested super late model races so far in 2026, who's your number one late model driver right now as far as if we put together power rankings? Is it Hudson O'Neal or is it Brandon Overton? And we go with the recency bias based off of like these fields that Overton won on at Screven, and last night at Volusia, because you heard Overton's interview, he kind of said, he kind of felt like the weight was off of his world because everybody talked shit about the win he had at Screven. It's like, well, you can't talk shit about the win I had at Volusia because there's 57 cars here, like that was no fluke last night. And it kind of just put the exclamation point on the run, the 3 wins he had prior. But my question to you is, who is the number one driver in dirt late model racing right now? I know it's a short, brief sample size, but through 16 events, is it Hudson O'Neal or is it Brandon Overton? I think it's one of those two, and it's Bobby Pierce washed.
Give me the 71 of Hudson O'Neal, and the only reason I say that is because I know he's in the Rumley 6, and that's that is the one of the best operating programs. They obviously are on the leading edge of everything. The dirt late model world seems to revolve and evolve around that Rumley 6 car, right? The device happened, and everybody's chasing whatever Rumley's got, and he's obviously an asset to Longhorn and Olin shocks, whatever he's got. But I just give credit to Huddy because he goes from the Rumley 6 car on Olin shocks to the 71 SSI car, which he also has one of the best wrenches in the world of Jason Durham. It's turning wrenches on that unit as well. I just give the edge to Huddy right now just to be able to go from one team to another and seem to never drop off pace. I know last night on Monday night he finished 6th, but he still passed 11 cars to get there. So right now, give me the 71, but I mean, it is right there close. That 76 is, I mean, like you said, he's breezy. He's the Brandon Overton of old. Last year, it felt like every time you talked to him, he was so uptight and just like the pressure and the weight of the world. And I mean, I wish one day I get the Longhorn house car ride and got the whole kit and caboodle like you did. But just all that pressure at some point, it just gets to you mentally, and people don't talk about the mental aspect of this sport enough. We can talk about how good of a driver you are and how good of equipment and all this and that. But at the end of the day, if the driver isn't in his right mindset when he pulls out there and he doesn't feel like he can do it himself, then he's not going to go out there and do it. So. But Overton is back on the curve. He's the Overton of old. He's loosey-goosey. I say loosey-goosey. He's having a good time. He's having fun. My buddy Ryder's on the wrenches. He's back in Georgia. He's winning races. But right now, give the edge to the 71. Hudson O'Neal, man, he's a talent that we have seen blossom in the last 5 years, from winning a World 100, a Lucas Oil Championship. And, he's been through, I mean, for such a short career, he's been through a lot as well. He's jumped from the double down ride and then went on to the Rocket House car and then his own thing and bounced around SSI back and forth. He's been through quite a lot to have such a young career, but he's also accomplished a whole lot as well. And this year's just proven that whatever doubters that he had, if there were any doubters of Hudson O'Neal, go hop in the pond because you're a silly goose. The kid's proven that he can will absolutely anything, whether it's the Rumley 6, the SSI car. He's got speed everywhere. But that 76 is right there, and BP 32. He's searching, man. He might be testing right now. Like this thing, the outlaw points might show up, and old Bob gets on that tune, and they're singing a song come Thursday, Friday, Saturday when it really livens up. But right now, man, just Bobby Pierce, he's not going. We talk about it qualifying. He's not qualifying the greatest. He's trying to get there, get here and there. He's not going out there just lights out 2/10 faster than everybody else every time he hits the track. So is he searching as hard as some of the guys at Volusia are right now that are a second off the pace? Lord, no. But the BP 32 is not the BP 32 of old.
Man, shout out to Dallin Murdy. Kind of random off top here. He's made both races, both nights. And I mentioned him because I wanted to ask you this question too. Like, I think unequivocally we would say that Longhorn Chassis is number one in the dirt late model chassis game right now, and Rocket Chassis is trying to get back up on the top with them. So you would say 1A, 1B, Longhorn Rocket. Who's number 3 right now in the chassis manufacturer game? Are we going to slot Infinity race cars in? And I think this is their third full season, or their start of their third year. They had a good run there with Brandon Overton, obviously with Wells Motorsports. That was kind of their main driver that got that thing going. Now you've got Chris Madden in Infinity race cars. But, I just mentioned Dallin Murdy. You've got Austin Kirkpatrick's AK race cars now. You've got Tyler Bruning in one of those cars. He finished 18th tonight, so not a great run. But if we're going to talk Ryan Gustin finished 3rd tonight in his Infinity race car. He has proven time and time again that car is really good at any different size racetracks. Are we going to put Infinity right now, as I think is number 3 dirt late model chassis manufacturer?
Yes, I'm 100% on Infinity being number 3, and that's just strictly the speed that Madden showed at the Sunshine Nationals. I don't think we got enough sample size of AK race cars yet. There's not a, it's such a discussion and debate in the late model world, right? This chassis deal, but when 18 of the 24 cars are Longhorns, and then the other 4 or other 3 are Rockets, and the other 2 is an Infinity, and one's an AK, like, I'm a statistics guy here. There's an 18 out of 24 chance a Longhorn's going to win, right? Like, let's just be honest here. Now, yes, have they been proven that they're faster or are faster in certain conditions? Yes, 100%. And is everybody kind of chasing that Longhorn pedigree? Yes, 1,000%. But at the end of the day, whenever you're taking guys that are kind of 1-man, 2-man bands with Gustin and Madden out there truly on the national scene, and then AK race cars, Bruning and them, you got to slot them in at 3 and 4, obviously. But I got to give Infinity the edge. Don't sleep on Gustin last year picking up the USA Nationals and then 50K at Boot Hill. Those are two really big wins that I feel as if in the chassis game that you got to put a feather in your cap. But when you talk about AK race cars, you got to add in the fact that I think that they're getting a pretty good support from Bilstein right now. When Rumley made that swap to Olin's, and I don't know all the inner workings in the Longhorn deal. I know they still work on all the shocks at Longhorn Dynamics, but when you lose Kevin Rumley to Olin's, and then Bilstein's got to kind of find a new guy, and this Austin Kirkpatrick, he's an outside the box thinker. These cars look different going around the racetrack. The bodies look, like they look a little bit shorter, maybe everything's kind of thrown off. And you watch his YouTube videos, and man, this dude's like, he's got some ideas. He's obviously got a brain to him, and he's putting a lot of things to work here. And it'll be interesting to see. I think they maybe have a good bit of support from Bilstein, and obviously Tyler Bruning and Skyline, a really good team, a really good operation that can pump some money into the deal, and maybe do some good developing for AK and get them rolling. I seen your finger there. What you got?
Well, you said something that I wasn't aware of, and I guess I've been underneath a rock. You mentioned that Kevin Rumley is no longer with Bilstein. He's with Olin Shocks now. When did that occur? I wasn't aware
that
of
happened towards the end of the year. I think there were some Longhorn end of the year last year. There were some Longhorn customers on Olin's, and then I think Lord, now that you're questioning me, it makes me nervous.
I don't pretend to know everything. Me and you know what I mean?
I know me and you are normally on top of all this stuff, but I'm 99.9% sure. Not that they completely cut ties with Bilstein, but I think Rumley has gone to Olin's, and they started developing their own thing. So that's something that it's worth noting and worth keeping an eye on, because that the Rumley 6 was on Olin's. As far as I know, I wasn't at Arizona. I wasn't at Volusia. I did not purposely see them. I know that Rumley has talked about Olin Shocks. I believe I've seen a commercial with Olin Shocks. I've heard him talk about Olin Shocks in interviews. So who knows? I mean, I've seen guys roll out there. They may have an Integra, Fox, or Bilstein sticker, and they got 4 different shocks on the car. Like you never really know unless you're there and you actually see it yourself. But from all the affiliations and comments and stuff, I feel like I'm 99.9% sure that Rumley is full blown on the Olin's deal now, and that's kind of the way that he's headed with his program. And that just kind of lends to the deal with the AK race cars and Bilstein. Maybe they just pump all the. Of course, Bilstein's not going to fall away from Longhorn chassis. They got VG Performance that he's a big Bilstein guy, and he did an interview at PRI with him. But I feel like chassis wise, Bilstein may be really pumping a lot into this AK race cars, knowing that they got somebody to go do some R&D with. And Austin Kirkpatrick is obviously a guy that isn't scared to try anything.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm interested to see how that stuff works out. And everybody's always trying to find that perfect combination, right? Like, and that it's monkey see, monkey do. It's just like in the NFL, right? When a good offense starts clicking, there'll be a defense that kind of figures it out, and it's monkey see, monkey do. And then the next person kind of duplicates what they're doing, and it's just like I said, it's monkey see, monkey do. It's the same thing with racing. Like, everybody's trying to find that right shot combination, with the right spring package and this, that, and the third, and then when somebody hits on something and finds it, then everybody wants to get it. Grant, that information's kind of tight-lipped there for a little while, and then somebody will get it, and then somebody else will get into the pits, and next thing you know, like that, well, and then somebody else has done up their game, and that's old news now. Like, that was 3 weeks ago news, and somebody's already progressed from that point, and that's why dirt late model continues to evolve, is because nobody ever has it figured out. Like, I'm sure there's things that guys are going back and trying that they were trying 7 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's things that Kevin Rumley did in 2015 that he's still trying now, on that 6 car in 2026. It's just, I love it. Like, I think that that's the one thing that I love so much about racing is nobody ever has it figured out. Like, as much as we all tune in every night, we think Bobby Pierce is good and he might win, or Hudson's good. Like, you just never know. Like, I tune in to see what that Dallin Murdy's going to do, like watching him push the progression. Like, I want to see that AK race car get better, and I want to see him as a driver get better. Like, I just love it all, man. I don't know. There's so many different things I could talk about. I'm just rambling at this point. I want to talk a little bit more, though, about some super late model drivers. Josh Rice. We talked about Josh Rice on this podcast coming up. Like, I think that we'd agree he's one of the most talented race car drivers in the country, and he's proven it in his old Rocket chassis number 11 car. I mean, those Ralph Latham Memorials, the North-South 100 performances he's put on at his home track at Florence, the home of the Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame. But the Crittenden, Kentucky driver is struggling right now to open up 2026. He's got Cheeseburger on the wrenches. He's got the Longhorn chassis. Man, the best finish he's had so far in 2026 is an 8th at Needmore. I mean, granted, I think people knew that Josh would struggle to get this thing going, but man, like it I'm sure it hurts for him because I know how bad he wants to run well, but man, I hope these guys stick with it and see it through, and I'm sure that they will, right? I mean, he's got some good, like I said, he's got the cheeseburger in his corner there, but man, what is it like? It's just one thing these guys need, right? Like tomorrow at Volusia, he just needs to come out, obviously, have a good qualifying run, and that's all it takes, right? Just one good run to get that confidence turned around, you know?
It does. That's all it takes. And at Volusia, it's man, that place just isn't easy. And when you unload on Monday, like you better hope that your car can go around there and you can hold it wide open and turn it on the gas. Because if you can't, then just all weekend long you're chasing that in qualifying. We talk about how important qualifying is. Here's prime example. If you don't unload Monday and for some reason you can't run around there wide open and turn in on the gas, it's just going to be a long weekend because you're just chasing your tail the whole time. But when you talk about that JRR ride, I think they'll see it through. When Dalton Wilson first got in there, it's not like he went out there and just set the world on fire, right? Like a lot of these places that Josh Rice is going to go to isn't going to be places that he's gone to a whole lot, and it takes time to gel with your team. You hear guys talk about their team a whole lot. And when you're beating up and down the road, like it's going to take a while for Randall Edwards to figure out like what Josh Rice wants to feel in a car. It's going to take a while for Josh Rice to be able to even describe the feeling in the car to where Randall kind of has an idea, and I'm sure Josh has just as much input on what goes on the car and what to do. It's he's obviously had success on the biggest stage ever, right, at Eldora, and he's won Ralph Latham Memorials, and he's the Florence Flash, if you want to call him that. Like he obviously knows what he's doing to the race car. He knows what he's doing behind the wheel of a race car. It's just a whole new fit and feel to it, right? Like you just got to find your way in there and just kind of gel with everybody. It really does take a while, and not even gelling. It's not that he doesn't trust Randall Edwards, but it's just getting everything put together just right, and that's when magical things happen, whenever everything just happens to gel right together, whenever you're getting along with everybody in the truck and everybody knows what everybody's going to do, and they're just figuring it all out, man. Josh Rice is absolute talent. That JRR team seems to be a really good, stout team. They got Dalton Wilson to where he is, put him on the road a couple years there. Then they got Cheeseburger on the wrenches. It's got a recipe for success. We just need the recipe to cook a little bit longer. I really do think they're going to come out and they're going to come out firing on all cylinders by the end of the year. It's tough. Like you look at this field, it's 56 cars. And when you run down this top 10, like tonight, you got Huddy, Cody Overton, Gustin, Shepard, McCready, RTJ, Hoffman, Moran, Madden, BP32. Like these are stout fields. These are 56 of the best. And it's just tough. It is. This is one of the toughest sports in the world. And I want to say it's one of the toughest racing sports in the world. I would like to say it's number one just because of how much it evolves day to day and everything that changes so much. But I know there's some other form of motorsports. Formula One's probably way tougher. They got a whole lot more going on than we got going on. But it's just one of those deals that just takes everything, the right recipe to get all put together. And they got it all there. It just got to take time. Maybe it just needs to cook a little bit longer, but they'll figure it out before too long. They really, man, Josh Rice is such a talent, and they got the equipment. They got a guy there that knows how to run a team with Randall Edwards. It'll all come together eventually.
All right, I want to go back to Brandon Overton real quick. I want to ask you an over. I want you to set an over and under number for him. His winningest season was 2021. He had 31 wins that year. Obviously, he's off to a quick start. A lot of people have been talking on social media that they think Brandon's back in form that he was in 2021 when he won the World and he won the Dream. So if we're going to say he won 31 races then, he's off to a hot start. He's already won 5 so far this year. What's the over and under? Like, where would you start the number at, the over and under for Brandon Overton for wins for 2026 total?
I would say 14 and a half. That would be kind of my number, 14 and a half. I would put it there.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Would you take the over or under on it?
Man, it's tough because he said he's jumping on that Lucas Oil deal, and I'm not saying he can't go out there and win over that, but I mean when you're night in and night out racing with those dudes, it's tough. Anybody tell you, anybody that puts together 20 win seasons, anybody that puts together 10, 15 win seasons, like it is a heck of a year. So I'm going to say I truly think that he's there, and I think he'll have 15 wins by the end of the year. Some people may disagree. He may just be on a heater right now and it may fizzle out. I don't think so. I think it's back to 76 doing 76 things, and we may look back and it may be one of the years of like, okay, this is why Brandon Overton is Brandon Overton, because he does go out there and just absolutely lights out. dominates it. I think he is a good contender with the speed he's had to go out there, and this may be the year that he's going to go out there and mix it up for the Lucas Oil Championship. I really do. I think he's got everything kind of the way he wants it right now. And whenever a guy's got everything the way he wants it, everybody seems to be gelling better. He's obviously in a better mood. It just, everything seems to work together. And it's going to be one of those years. I'm not going out on a far limb here. It's going to be one of those years that we'll look back and Brandon Overton has 15 to 20 wins and he'll win a couple crown jewels.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, by the way, the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars was at Volusia as well, and the Modifieds were also over there. Congratulations to the Modified winner. How about Jordan Kohler winning his first ever Big Gator? And it ain't like he just looked it in this thing. Like, he won the Big Gator Championship points for the week, and he also won the finale, the 5,000 win feature on Saturday night, beat Ricky Thornton Jr. to get it done. Like, if, when the Kohlers, they put Ricky Thornton, in the 20 RT when he left the SSI, or he got fired from SSI. Everybody knew that the Kohlers, they had boys that were trying to up and come and get up into racing. And, you would think that whenever they hired Ricky Thornton that, it could definitely expedite the learning curve for their kids, right? Jordan, and I'm sorry, what's Evan Kohler. You think that would certainly speed up their learning curve. And when he crossed the checkered flag the other night and won that Big Gator, I thought to myself, like, what's Big Kohler? What's the guy that owns the team's name? His first name, I forget off the top of my head. What's his name?
Oh,
that owns it's okay, it doesn't matter. Like anyway, that. Mr. Kohler. But I was thinking, like, he's got to be thinking to himself right now that, like, this proved the decision I made right. Like, to put all this money into getting my kids up and coming into racing, and then, to have the success Ricky's had and to bring the success Ricky's had over into his camp. Like, I felt like things had come probably full circle for them. I thought that was really cool to see Jordan Kohler win that. And also, like I said, the World of Outlaws, just to finish my point, Buddy Kofoid and Anthony Macri leave Volusia tied for the points lead. Now, I don't know what Anthony Macri plans to do in 2026, but, dude, he's fast anywhere he goes. But him and Buddy Kofoid were racing hard all week long. Macri ends up winning the Big Gator as well. But, yeah, man, between Macri winning the Big Gator and Jordan Kohler, like, I think those are two drivers. I'm not sure many people, like, maybe they had them on their bingo card, but still pretty cool to see those two came out with the big wins in the Gators.
Yeah, the Kohler family has to be ecstatic right now. And, whenever they gave Ricky Thornton Jr. the ride, I'm sure they had to, there was something, not a personal reason. Of course, they wanted to get one of the best talents behind the wheel of ride and get him out there back going again. But, at the end of the day, it was also possibly a personal move to advance your son's career. And, it's done that. And they just seem to be such, really great people. That Jordan Kohler, when I go back and watch that feature, it was like, dude, like, it's not out of luck. Obviously he's in a blessed situation to be where he's at, but the dude flat out drove him, like there wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, he went out there and, dude, his stuff was good all week long, and he takes away a Big Gator, and that's got to be really cool for him to pick that up, man. It just goes full circle, like these guys put so much money into this racing and everything. And then to turn around and, see your son succeed, that was one thing that I'll never forget. I hear my dad say, like, the greatest thing I've ever done in life was watching my son succeed. And that's just just such a big just a chip on the shoulder, whatever, however you want to put it. I don't have a son yet, so I can't even imagine, but, being able to go out there and see your son and put him in the best possible situation, then he goes out and just flats out performs it and does it to the best of his ability. So everything seems to be going right in that Kohler camp. The RTJ maybe doesn't have necessarily the greatest speed right now in the late model, but I'm sure they'll get that turned around. That's a great operation all the way from top to bottom, man. The RTJ was winning racing last year. He started out the year out there in the family's ride, in the Adams family ride, went out and in Arizona at the Wild West Shootout. Lord, I almost said at the Chili Bowl. He didn't win at the Chili Bowl. He won at Arizona, then went to the Chili Bowl. But everything just seems to be clicking there. And, dude, Anthony Macri just put, a heck of a weekend together. Like, that's a dude that he just, like, man, he is a stone cold killer in a sprint car. And I love seeing him pop in because he, like you said, you don't necessarily know where he's going to be, what he's going to do. And he just shows up, and he's one of those guys, like, you could compare him to, like, JD this year. Like, I don't know if Macri's going to run a full tour, but wherever he shows up, he's going to be a threat, man. Like, he is he has absolutely blossomed in the last couple years and has been a threat. And just it's really impressive to see, because it's something, the sport's not easy, whether it's dirt late models or sprint cars. And he goes out there this past week and absolutely, beat some of the best of the best come Saturday. And it's just really cool to see.
Yeah. He's the reigning King's Royal champion, Anthony Macri, out of Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. So I misspoke on that. The World of Outlaws not energy drink sprint car point standings is tied up. The top three are tied, leaving Volusia. And we know that's all going to, work itself out. But David Gravel, Anthony Macri, and Buddy Kofoid are all tied. It's got Kofoid at the top of the heap there, I believe, due to the wins. But dude, Kofoid was so impressive the other night. He went 21st to 5th. He's got so much speed. I said it before the season, and I wish I would have probably put it out on this podcast, so I can't say it now that he's in the point lead. He come out strong. But I picked Buddy Kofoid to win the World of Outlaws championship before the season started. So I'm going to say that right here, right now. Yes, he's in the point lead right now, but he's tied with two other guys, and Carson Macedo's only 4 points out, and Logan Schuhart's only 16 points out. So, man, I think it's going to be a really great points chase. Remember, high limit sprint car season doesn't start until, I don't think, March. So, man, speed weeks and everything just feels so different, doesn't it? Like this is the first time ever that we've ever seen. Like, typically, we would get used to watching the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series being at Golden Isles, right? They call it the Super Bowl of racing. That would be going on in February. But yeah, man, it's just kind of different with Lucas Oil kicking their speed weeks off after Daytona 500. It's just different. It just feels different. It just feels different, and it's starting to feel a lot different. The further we get removed from East Bay. And I think that that's come more of a realization now. I get it. It's never happening again. It's not coming back. And, with the Needmore and Swainsboro stuff, people are trying to find a way to fill these gaps. And I think, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I think only throughout time we'll figure out what really works. And I think right now we're just in this weird spot, just trying to figure out how to get this speed weeks to jive and to get it to feel like speed weeks again, right?
I think we'll get it figured out. It'll just simply be a couple years of trial and error. Like you said, East Bay and Volusia, that was speed weeks. Like that's forever been the two that always you were guaranteed you're going to go to East Bay, then you're going to go to Volusia, then it's the Daytona 500, right? And now without East Bay, that's the missing piece to the puzzle that everybody's scratching their head. How do we replace this? And I don't think it's not necessarily, you're never going to replace it. I think everybody's just come to that conclusion. You're not going to replace East Bay. You're not going to replace these 2 weeks here from East Bay to Volusia, that continuity that it had of rolling into it. But I really do like the look of it going for here on out. I think that this transition to a post Speed Weeks Lucas Oil or a post Daytona 500 Lucas Oil Speed Weeks is going to be something that works. And that's just because the simple fact of we know if they get to run their speed weeks, like Golden Isles always fought, it was cold as all get out, and there was always a chance of rain 1 or 2 nights. Like they always fought that at Golden Isles. And I'm not saying they won't fight rain and cold come March, but I think this lends it to better. And it also maybe withholds them a little bit from trying to race so much in March, because we all know with racing March and April, you can go ahead and throw half of them races out the window. Like they're going to rain out. That's just part of it. Right. Yeah. So I really do like this transition. Do we have to wait a little bit longer to get a true speed weeks feel? Yes, but I think it's something that'll work. And, a lot of people hate on it. I absolutely love it. Hendry County, the World of Outlaws is racing on top of Lucas Oil for the first time in like 4 or 5 years that they've, since the speed weeks has been going on, and since speed weeks in the past 4 or 5 years, the Outlaws have scheduled on top of Lucas Oil. And a lot of people may not like it because you don't get the full mix and all the fields together, but I like it just because you kind of really get an idea of who's doing what, like the points money and the show up money and all that stuff, because you would have guys that were signed up for both tours and then go out and leave speed weeks. And then it may be April before you figure out who's on what tour. And so now you find out really quick, fast, and in a hurry, okay, these guys are going here and these guys are going there. And really, I think that feeds and helps the lower programs. And I say the lower programs, but the guys that are in that 10th to 12th place for the show up money or 10th to 15th place, if you're fighting with all these other dudes that may not even run Outlaws full time, but they're still showing up and getting the show up money or whatever it may be. I know the formats and all have changed over the years of how that all happens, but I really do like it. I think this is a speed weeks feel that'll get to it. I think this post Daytona 500 will be something that possibly sticks around. I think when we get said and done, we'll say, yeah, this is probably the next best thing other than having East Bay back, which we know that's long gone and not going to happen. But I really do think that when we get through this year and we see how everything works out, I think this will be the way it goes from here on out. And I may be wrong here in the next couple months when they release Speed Weeks dates for next year, but I really do think this is a feel and a vibe that's going to carry on and something to look forward to.
Absolutely. I have a random question for you before we wrap this thing up. Do you still have your race car? Do you still own your race car? The last car that you raced, do you still have your factory stock?
Yeah, I still got it. It's over at Joe Rachel's, and he's probably begging for me to come get it out of his way. But when we sold what you got?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say when we sold the business, I didn't have a shop necessarily to put it in. My good buddy Stephen Gidry said I can go pile it over there, and instead of it being in his way, Mr. Joe said I can just come stick it behind his shed. And I told him, I said, whatever you need that you need to race, I like essentially my whole racing operation is over there. I got scale pads, I got a bunch of stuff. Like I essentially took 2 truckloads and a trailer. No, it does not run. My racing career ended because I blew up a motor. Well, I blew up a motor and that thing it grenaded.
So my question was because I want to see how we can relate to the racer that listens to this pod. So my question to you is like, because there's racers that are dealing with this stuff every day. They're trying to get their race car ready for the racing season, right? So if Cortland Smith decided tomorrow, you woke up and you had a wild hair and you said, you know what? I'm going to go racing. You know what I mean? I'm going to get my car back ready. How much do you think how much money do you think that it would take for you, Cortland Smith, to get your factory stock back ready to go? And hey, and don't spare any expense here. Like, do you need to call Neil and get some shocks, or do you need to call Jeffrey? Like, I don't know who, because you're going to need shocks. You're going to need this. You're going to need that. Like, what would be the dollar amount do you think in order to get Cortland Smith back on the racetrack? That's what I want to know.
Luckily, I got my boy Bags in the back corner. Your boy may be a guru at the old Integra shock, so I'd probably go that route. But man, first and foremost, you got to get a motor, right? Like you can't race without a motor. So you're looking, let's just say, $8,000 there. People sit there and tell you factory stock motors, $20,000, whatever it may be. This guy right here ain't going to spend more than $8,000 on one. So you got $8,000 on that, and then who am I calling?
Let's build a factory stock, Cortland. Let's build a factory stock. Are you calling PTS? Are you calling Dennis Knowles? Are you calling Chuck Priestley? Are you calling John McLemore with PTS? What kind of hammer are we putting in this baby?
Well, I mean,
or are we calling Advance? Are we calling Brandon Hightower?
Yeah, Advance would probably be the first phone call. I'm gonna be a guy that goes ahead and prices them out. I'm not just gonna be on a whim call one dude. Advance is a whole lot closer to my shop than what Best Engines would be. I've made the drive up there to Texarkana plenty of times, but if we're looking at it factory stock wise, if you don't get a Best Engine, then it's kind of that's kind of just been the tried and true what everybody runs, right? Advance would be the next option for me, and that's simply because of relatively PT. John Mack, like all them guys, like great motor builders, all of them have obviously won big races. So like if you're around, that's the great thing about being in the Arklatex and not so great about being down. And I'm not even gonna call myself South Louisiana, but Central Louisiana, is that if you're in the Arklatex region, you got a couple different options you can go to that aren't too far. Whereas if you're me, you're kind of there, still Advanced as an hour away, and then you got everybody else is 2+ hours. So you're going to start there, like I said, about $8,000. I'm going to need I'm going to need new bolt-ons, uppers, lowers, all that stuff. If I was going to do it right. If I was doing it right. I mean, I'm stripping it down. I need new fuel line, new everything. And I may be way completely off, but I mean, I'm easily looking 20 to 25 grand to get this thing back going. I got the transmission, the rear end's still good, but if I was to completely go through it, I mean, fuel lines, new master cylinder, I would completely strip it and go through, and I may be undercutting myself a whole lot, but I mean, I'm easily looking 25 grand. Yeah, I feel like today, if I was to go back racing, and that's no chump change. And I can tell you right now, that's why whenever I blew up, my racing career was ended right there until, maybe somebody's listening to this podcast and wants to give your boy a motor, and I'll start from, I'll sell feet pictures if I got to, you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't much to look at, so I got to do the old toes, but.
So I'm here to tell you now that on May 8th and the 9th, if you get that old factory stock ready, you could win that race and break even.
Yeah.
You could win. You could come out maybe $5,000. Okay. No, 30,000 to win USRA factory stocks. It'll be the second running of the factory stock spring nationals, May 8th and 9th. And if we get old Cortland Smith's factory stock ready and we can get you a good finish, hey, we can split it. Okay. Like I'll pump you up and get you back out there ready. And we can get you, dude. I'm telling you, like 30 grand, dude. Like that's got to make anybody. The reason why I brought this up is because, like, I wonder how many guys, and I talked to a few guys like Chase Breezy. You talked to him earlier. This is episode 71, perfect time. But like he got that 71 factory stock kind of ready to go on a whim, and he thought about driving it, but they ended up putting Talon Willis in it. Like they knew that they had to have a stock car at the inaugural factory stock spring nationals. And I know you, Cortland, you're a competitive guy. Like I know you're excited about being on the microphone with me this year, but I know that there's just still a little piece of you that's the competitive edge in you that wants to get out there and just honk on it again. You know what I mean? Get out there and hammer on it and let your worries just drift away into the Greenwood night. Tell me I'm lying.
You ain't lying one bit. No lie detected here, friend. I can tell you that much. It's in my inner being a lot. And you go to the races and it just makes you want to do it even more. And then I look at my bank account and it makes me not want to do it at all. I can tell you that much. Is the way I look at it. Every time I go to the racetrack, I get that feeling more and more. And then every time I look at my bank account, I go, Lord, no, that feeling went smooth out the window.
Depressing.
I always make the joke, my car owner died on me in my prime. I was rolling pretty good there. It was a sad deal,
Darty.
but R.I.P. my man Darty. But yeah, I would absolutely love to. There's no better feeling, man. And then you roll out for something like that. You couldn't even put to words. Some of these guys may not get nervous and they can say they don't. But I promise you, if you were an A main starter at that 30,000, in the back of your mind, you're sitting there thinking, man, after 50 laps here, I could win 30K. And if that don't make you a little bit nervous, then you got a wet nose and long ears because you're goofy. I don't know what. I mean, that's all there is to it. Because I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I mean, you roll out for 1,000 to win race and you get nervous. There's guys probably roll out every single feature race and get nervous, So it's one of them deals. Like you said, if there was a chance, I mean, maybe, hey, my boy Tim Hardman said I'd come wheel that thing if I needed to. Look, if somebody's got to tell you. I got a seat. I got a nice new fire suit. Dude. My lovely fiance a couple years ago, or right before I blew my motor up, she bought me a nice new fire suit. It's got one race on it. I'm ready. I still got the helmet bag. I got everything.
I feel like in the future though, I feel like we've got to get you back on the track to race one more time for your dad. I feel like you have to. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you owe it to your dad. Like I'm not gonna say you owe him anything. But I feel like you owe it to your dad to get. I just said it. Yeah, I said it. I feel like you owe it to your dad to get out there and race one more time for him. I do. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I think your mom would love to see it. I think Natalie would love to see it. I think your family would love to see it. I'd love to see it. I think a lot of people would love to see it. But again, no pressure. Do it on your time. Whenever it feels right for you. Like I'm not asking all this stuff to put pressure on you, but hey, it is nice for racing for $30,000 to win. Like if it was any time, now's the time. You know what I mean? But that's good stuff.
I've had a lot of great people that have offered, to help and whatnot. And just at the end of the day, like I threw that number of 25 grand out there. Right. And I'm not saying that there's somebody that wouldn't help me out to get out there or give me a ride to go do it. It's just, that's a big financial heaf, anybody that races, dude. I mean, whether you're going top of the line or you're a dude that's just, I mean, you got to wait every couple of weeks to race, man. This stuff ain't cheap. And then, if you really price it out, if you're a guy like me, or even farther south in Louisiana, dude, just traveling to the races, man. Like to get to Manny, it's an hour and a half. That's an hour and that's driving with a pickup truck, getting a solid 10 miles to the gallon in gas. And, and I ain't got no fancy operation. We're open trailer gang over here, but it's just, when you start driving and adding up all those expenses, it really adds up quick, man. And that's one of the deals with racing. You talk about relating to racers. It's a grind to go out there week in and week out and show up. And I think, I'm not saying we don't, we do give credit, but it's one of those deals at the end of the day, like these guys could spend their hard-earned money doing a lot of other things. And for some reason they enjoy cranking up a race car and pulling out on a dirt track and putting on a show for the fans in the stands. And we're grateful for them in every single shape or fashion, because some dudes probably spend $10,000 a year and some dudes may spend $100,000 a year, but the same amount of effort goes into each program at some point in time. I guarantee it, because as a wise man once said, racing's going to take every dollar you got, whether it's $10,000 that you got in your account or $100,000, you're going to spend every bit of it when you're ate up with it. And so, yes, I would absolutely love to, man. I'm not going to say it's not a burning desire. I was going to have a chance. I thought we was going to put together a little crate late operation at the 14M shop, and your boy was going to go make a few starting parks, possibly, just to go out there on a whim. But the crate late models kind of died down, and then we sold the car before that got to happen. So there was a chance. It was small. It never got very far, other than one night talking, and then possibly the next day, like, hey, were you serious about that? Well, yeah. And then we sold the car a couple weeks later. So
you're no Kobe.
It may happen one day. I promise you, before too long, it'll happen, because that burning desire is there. And I've actually had a lot of great people that have told me that they want to get me out there to my dad's race. So it's something that'll happen. I'm tired of talking about me, Zach. Let's talk about something else. Jeez Louise. I'm not.
I was the one that brought it up, so it's okay. I was the one that brought it up. I think it would be cool. I think a lot of people would like to see that. Final thing I want to say tonight, and I meant to do this last week, but here in my hands, folks, are a couple. I want to give a special shout out to my friend Kenny Haight. Really one of the greatest dudes I've gotten to know over the last couple of years. He relocated to this area, was in the military, and I think he's actually about to relocate. Lived in Alaska for several years, but honestly, he lives in Benton. But one of the better guys that I've gotten to know through racing the last few years. But Cade Gailey brought me these cars to the Boot Hill banquet last week, and I'm gonna just tell you the little bit of meaning behind it. So we were all hanging out in Discord, like we play iRacing together or whatever, and we were in there, and I said, "Hey, man, look at that Benny Parsons car. I mean, I used to have that." And I told Kenny this story, like, and my mom knows about this. Like, when I grew up, man, I collected diecast cars like that. I had them all. Like, I had a massive collection of diecast from NASCAR all the way up. My walls were painted checkerboard, Cortland, like growing up for real. I had shelves on my wall, and I had diecast cars, and they stayed in their boxes anyway. So I moved out of my house, after I turned 18, in Halton, and I moved to Greenwood, Louisiana anyway. So that was in 2017, and I had all my diecast at that time. And whenever I moved, I bought a storage unit, and I put them in a storage unit, right? And I had couches, I had a refrigerator, I had a bunch of stuff that was mine, right? And I put it in a storage unit on Stockwell Road in Bossier City, Louisiana. Well, little ZC didn't buy renter's insurance, and I got a phone call. This is like 6 or 7 months, after I'd been renting this place, and that unit burnt to the ground. That whole unit burnt to the ground. I've told you this story before, but literally, like, yeah. So when I was in Discord with you guys, we were hanging out, and y'all have had this kick lately. Y'all been shopping diecast. Like I would love you to show maybe next week you could show the ones that you've got. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But like, I was kind of jealous. Like, I was watching you guys, and it's like I have none left. Like, I lost all of mine in that fire. And every time I think about it, dude, it kind of depresses me, because it's like everything that I collected from a kid all the way through an adult, like I lost it, and it sucks when you think about it, because it's like, man, it's like when y'all were showing me all this stuff, like Kenny was showing me all of his stuff on video. I was like, man, I wish I could just show y'all mine. Like, all I can do is just tell y'all the stuff I had. Well, then Cade shows up, and like I told him that I had this Benny Parsons car, right? 27 is one of my favorite numbers, Benny Parsons car. I guess I just collect all dead racers. But anyway, he also gave me a number 28 Kenny Irwin. And I had a bunch of Davey Allison stuff, and I had some Kenny Irwin stuff. But long story short, for somebody to think about me, and again, I'm not trying to say this to be, I'm not being emotional, but I just, like, it really meant a lot to me. And I just wanted to thank Kenny right here on my podcast. It's little things like that. Like, why do you have friends? It's so they can lift you up in times of need and things like this. Like, just little things like this. Like, just a little gesture to say, hey, man, bring this to Zach Clark. Like, dude, y'all, like, it means a lot to me. That's all I'm going to say. It just means a lot. Thank you. That's all. It just does. Like, because I've had a lot of stuff that I've lost in my life because I wasn't living right, or I wasn't, like, everybody knows my story. I've made a lot of decisions that affected me when I wasn't living right, and I've come to terms with that, and that's fine. And there's a lot of things that I've done, you know, and like little stupid, silly shit like that. Like, you know, like my storage unit burning to the ground and I lose everything that I had, you know, growing up. But anyway, thank you, Kenny Hayden. That's all I got. I'm weird for getting emotional about that, but thank you. That's all I got.
No, and Kenny is one of the homies, man. If you've met Kenny once, you met him 1,000 times, and he's one of those friends. He is, man. He really is. He's Kenny is Kenny. I'm just gonna put it like that. Yeah. When you meet Kenny, hey, you'll never forget it. But yeah, he is one of them dudes, and you know, whenever Cade brought that stuff, said, "Hey, give these to Zach," and you know, it was something special. You know, it's little things like that. You know, we can act all tough and bad and do all this, and like still at the end of the day, whether you're a grown man, you still like looking at race cars or diecast cars, whatever it may be. So that is something really cool. But I don't know if you're about to wrap it up and not kind of just throw it back to Volusia real quick. I just want to give a shout out to Shelby Hinton, man. The dude is out there.
Oh, yeah.
USAC non-wing sprint cars at Volusia, made the features both nights. He ran 18th and 23rd. I know it wasn't necessarily the finishes he wanted, but man, when somebody comes across the PA system talking about a Louisiana driver and a 410 non-wing, it is something pretty cool, right? And I just wanted to give a shout out to him on here. I don't even know if he listens to the podcast. He may not. Hopefully it makes it up there some way. But when somebody says Duberly, Louisiana, it's like, who is this guy? And, you know, Shelby Hinton, of course, Duberly. So, hey, sorry, my bad there.
Well, you're just announcing the way they said it. It's fine. It's Duberly, but it's okay.
Duberly, forgive me. No, but you know, just to think that at some point in time, you know, we raced limited modifieds together, you know, and this guy's out there on the USAC non-wing out there at Volusia getting it done, and really has, you know, turned a progression, and he's running all these non-wing open fender world. You know, he really is impressive, and I wish the best for him. I know the finishes weren't necessarily what he wanted this week by no means, but you know, I think the sky's the limit for him, man. He's obviously doing something right out there, and he's gotten these rides and keeps on going, and the progression could be endless for him. So just want to give a shout out to Shelby Hinton there before we roll out tonight.
I agree with you 100%, man. Look, I just found this picture of his limit. This is from 2019. Look, it's Shelby Hinton. I just searched my Google Photos, but yeah, man, he's coming up through the ranks back then. And I remember interviewing him on the front straightaway at Arclatech Speedway, his first ever mini sprint win, and just a little young kid with long hair, and yeah, he's really grown up to be a really cool, great young race car driver, and he's still on the come up, and he's really respectful. And man, the whole Hinton family, just great people. Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. Couldn't be any more proud of him. I love watching him push the progression, like I always say. So that's good stuff, and I'm glad you mentioned that, folks. That's a wrap on episode number 71 of Clark After Dark. Thank y'all for hanging out with us here to the final whistle. He's Cortland Smith. I'm Zach Clark. Thank y'all for being here. Be blessed and be a blessing. Hugs and hand pounds. We'll see you next week.
Later.